All right, welcome back. It is a Freaky Friday, and freaky things are going on around the world. We got a guy with dementia running for president. We got a woman of white privilege sneaking into salons to get her hair blown out when the rest of her constituents and small businesses are dying and literally starving. And we have Black Lives Matter folks out in the streets, straight up saying, you must, if you loot a store because you need food, it's okay. And one genius even posited the thought, if you steal a Gucci bag to feed your family, it's good. And I keep asking, no one's answering me, but how do you even prepare a Gucci bag as food? I don't know. But if it gets crazier by the minute, I just told you my daughter's under basic, solitary confinement now up at her college, Marist College. And then just the other day, they had a BLM protest with 700 people all over the place. So it's like bizarro world. And one of the guys who joins us every week, we did this little solid here to get in the first hour because I'm going to cut out a little early today. Michael Johns joins me again, as he does every Friday. He's a policy analyst and writer, former speechwriter for George H.W. Bush, one of the co-founders of the Tea Party movement. Mike, I need your help because I think, rather than just going on TV and railing every day about stuff, right? I want to reach out to the president and the provost and say, I appreciate the fact that you guys want all voices to be heard. It was very nice of you to allow the BLM folks to use the campus. Now, I would like an appointment or a date that's available. I want to team up with the Republican Club, and we want to have a Students for Trump rally. When can we have that?
Exactly the way to do it. I think that's the way to do it. One of the, obviously I've been part of what we call the conservative movement for over 30 years now. And I've been a loyal member of it, meaning I've done a lot of work to help other people. And I've always felt that this was a collective entity that we would advance, we would win or lose together by making our ideas and conveying them and winning hearts and minds. But, one of the great deficiencies is that we've just allowed so many of these institutions to completely come under the control of the left. And then now our response is to kind of be irritated and complain about the realities that essentially we allowed to happen. I do think it's time for a little bit of self-reflection for even for conservative, any centrist in this country who does not believe that there should be a complete monolithic quasi-Marxist ideology presented to younger generation after younger generation, and that we're going to sustain this country somehow, and that we're going to surrender Hollywood, and that we're going to surrender the media, and that we're going to surrender, increasingly even and components of the private sector.
Yeah.
The goal of this movement has been to silence conservatives, not to engage them in any sort of debate on these issues. I think they're wholly aware that their mindset and their policy agenda is deficient, that it doesn't resonate with the American people. It's why they so commonly exaggerate things, and it's why they so commonly seek to close us down. I mean, there's no university in this country outside of like Liberty University and a few conservative universities where I could literally go and give a speech without the far left making a complete dramatic scene out of the entire thing.
I think it's fair of me to propose that. I know the campus is diverse and open. They put a big post out on social media that they want all voices to be heard, and they want to, strive for freedom of speech and all this other stuff.
Test that thesis. Is that the point? Test the thesis that they want all voices to be heard.
Yes, exactly. That's the thesis. But now we will see, right?
You'll afford me a little bit of skepticism until I see the evidence of that.
Yeah. So
language.
Yeah, you said it already. It's like this has been years in the making. It's death by 1,000 cuts, right? A little nicks here and there. Pedophile laws. Now they want to teach young kids in kindergarten about oral sex and masturbation, right? They're just deteriorating the edges of what we know as a sane civilization, the greatest civilization on earth. One of my good friends, been a teacher for 30 years, okay? Real union man through and through. Just turned in his papers, he retired, and he said, you know what, JT, now I can tell you the truth. That's a socialist organization there. All they do is push out propaganda. I had to play my whole career like I would go along with it because I wanted to retire and work. But, and he said, they infiltrated the campuses of America with these liberals and they poisoned a generation of kids. And I think he's right on the money. That's one of the places where they really are eroding our society, I think.
The only unanswered question in my mind is that when I go back and look at my mindset at 18, 19, 20, when I was president of college Republicans and I was doing Washington, D.C. internships and already committed to conservative, is that I viewed, as I think young people are naturally inclined to do, all of these things skeptically that were directed at me from the far left. I don't understand why there's been such a complete capitulation by that generation to these ideas and why they haven't maintained a little more healthy skepticism. But clearly, this is like a crisis that it should be a full stop moment where we're having, emergency meetings until we figure it out. Right. And yet the movement is not handling it in that way. We're so focused just on the political dimension of it. And as they say, culture, and I would put academia in there, is upstream from politics.
Yeah, full stop, double ding. Remember the old typewriter when you pushed it, it went bing. You hit it again for a double spaced indent 2 for a new paragraph. We have a moment here where we need to start writing a new paragraph to the evolution of our society. But to me, Donald Trump is the only person that could put a stake in the heart of it the way it's growing right now. And you see these kids in the street, when you say you don't know where it began, this is going on quite some time now that, outspoken conservatives have been getting bullied off college campuses for over a decade. I mean, you know this, little by little by little. You can't even get on a campus if you tell them up front that you want to talk about conservative American faithful ideas.
Well, what they've done in my case, in some cases, other cases have had different experiences, but they try to put these huge security fees on the sponsoring organizations. So they'll say, you can't have Michael Johns here unless we need $10,000 in security fees. And this is a student-run organization with student allocations. They don't have the funds to come up with that, so they're forced to either cancel it or make it a private. It's been a sophisticated way of silencing conservatives. And by the way, the ideas that we're putting forward are not controversial. They are centrist positions supported by a majority of Americans. For the most part, conservatism is the most favored ideology when Americans are asked to identify an ideology. So there should be nothing about any of this that's so immensely controversial. I did want to, I'm sure we're running out of time, but I did want to at least tell you, I think, one of the responsibilities that I've always taken seriously, and particularly in our Tea Party movement, was making sure that everyone involved knew, because there was no way we can micromanage individual people's involvement, that violence, vandalism, things of that nature were totally unacceptable. And I said this over and over and over again. I think today we're at a position, when you look at this violence in the streets, you have to go back, and I go all the way back to like Madonna's, speech in D.C. when I was down there on saying, I'm inclined to burn down the White House. But literally elected members of Congress.
Mike, we're sorry, we're running out of time right there. Damn.
Good to see you.
Mike, have a great weekend. You're a bomb. Michael Johns, co-founder of the Tea Party movement, one of the speechwriters for George H.W. Bush.